what is going to affect how cheap it is to put a company into liquidation and to close it down for good? Well, there's going to be a number of different aspects that are going to apply that somebody's going to consider when they say to themselves how much it's going to cost. And the starting point inevitably is going to be how many creditors there are. But before you get a bit carried away with that, bear in mind that it is not uncommon for a company director to approach a firm of liquidators and to say, oh, there's only one creditor, HMRC or a bounce back loan or whoever it is. It will be a super simple liquidation, and so therefore we're expecting a super cheap price. Now, that may be the case, but it doesn't necessarily follow. And there are other factors into consideration. And the starting point is that every liquidator has to do certain fundamentally basic things, regardless of how many creditors there are, how many employees there are, how many directors there are, etc. They're going to still have to do a report on the conduct of the directors. They're still going to have to prepare the statement of affairs, or assist the director prepare the statement of affairs. They're still going to have to prepare a financial report for the benefit of the directors. They're still going to have to do the statutory, what's known as the SIP2 investigation into the conduct of the directors. They're still going to have to take possession of the records and review those records and inventorise those records and so on. And this is going to apply regardless of how big, small or indifferent the liquidation happens to be. Now, in addition to that, there are going to be other relevant aspects. So, for instance, it's not going to be so relevant how many directors there are, but the more directors there are, the more people's conduct you're going to have to consider when you are doing a report. Another aspect you're going to have to consider is the structure of the company. For instance, how many shareholders there are, how is the company going to go into liquidation, and are those shareholders cooperating, are they not cooperating? That's going to be a factor, because if there's only one shareholder, it is going to be much more simple. Another crucial aspect, however, is going to be the general state of the company's records, in particular the accounting records. The more disorganised that position is, the more work inevitably the liquidator is going to have to do to both place the company into liquidation and also to consider doing the investigations later. So, organisation is going to be key. The extent to which directors understand and require frequent explanation is going to be a relevant consideration as well, and to how much time a liquidation firm is going to have to spend on dealing with such individuals and explaining it to them and so on, because obviously it's a pressure time for directors, and they're going to want reassurance and they're going to want things explaining to them. So things like that also will come into consideration. All of this together means that a cheap liquidation or not so is going to depend on more than just the number of creditors. It's going to be also, when you're thinking of creditors, the type of creditors. Are those creditors secured? Are they preferential? Are there employees? Is going to be a key issue, because that is going to make things more expensive, more time, more information, and so on. Questions, queries, concerned, give us a shout. We know insolvency inside out.